it's really cold tomorrow. You should break 2 records because of it, right?
Yep.
But that's always existed.
Yes.
For 120 years.
It's been consistent.
So.
All right, I think we're all set. Double check.
Screen share working? Hashtag
Mouse does show up, but it moves slower on the screen than it does on here. So I just need to make sure I move kind of slowly. I don't need to look at this. That was my problem last year. I kept looking at that. I should just look at this.
Yeah.
You did fine last year. Is this something you guys want to do again in the future, or?
Yeah.
I'll make up a little name card for you to stick on the poster. Because I didn't have one for you. Yeah, there's one out. And then I just change the name every week. It's a little piece of Velcro that sticks the name on. I didn't make one for you guys last year. Now I need to make another one for next week's presenter, so I'll just make you guys one. But it was funny, it made it on national TV when the John Neese tour of the Weather Center made it on ESPN2. They showed my sign. I'm like, oh, it was blank with no name on it. I'm like, ugh. You guys can be famous.
Darn it. Yeah, we prefer probably post-season discussions.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Although last November we had the tropics to talk about.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
the tropics in the Philippines at least.
What tropics this year? Hey, Travis. How you doing?
Okay, great.
Yeah, go somewhere warm, please.
Keep an eye on the temperature. Keep an eye on the temperature.
Yeah, I saw
Take care, man. See ya.
17.2. It was 17.3 earlier.
Was it? Oh, no.
But of course, now this snow has ended, it might bump back up again. I think it'll bump back down first before it bumps back up.
And you'll be at the thing tonight? Of course. And the 141, I was at.
And then film another night.
Yeah, I just heard about that. That's not getting the way up in the air, is it?
What's up in the air?
I don't know.
I think they do.
On Mondays or Tuesdays.
I think they work Monday.
It's just weird.
What?
It's just a big blob of snow in the sky right now.
It's amazing out
And I
there.
will just warn you now.
It's like it's just the eddies. Like sometimes it brings it down, and other times it doesn't. I don't know.
I mean,
I don't even get the sense that it's falling.
if you look at the radar, it makes sense.
Yeah.
We'll bring that up.
Talk to you later.
Uh-oh. What a break.
Yes. And I'm gonna send an email to Joe. I mean, I talked yesterday.
Yeah.
And you,
What's up, Bill? Give everybody another minute. I think we're going to be conflicting with some Clear Day stuff. Yes. You can have it if you want it.
Those are members.
I thought I got my winter clothes for you. Damn, we won't be rude.
He saved my coffee mug, so I'll forgive him.
Those pictures are wild. Have you seen the photographs? Oh, I got you.
Go to your settings.
Keep it pure.
You guys think? Ready? Yeah, we're ready. Okay, let's start on time. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming again. We decided to leave some of the blinds open just in case another squall comes through for entertainment purposes. But thanks for coming in, warming up in the Weather Center in this cold day. I'm very happy to have two of my fourth floor colleagues, graduate students here in the Department of Meteorology, Cory Baggett and Michael Goss, are here to give us the details. And coincidentally, last year, they were here at a very similar time talking about probably somewhat similar things. So it's kind of coincidental that the way the schedule worked out this year. Maybe you guys are bringing the cold and the snow, I don't know. But let's hear what they have to say. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for everyone for coming today. As Dan was saying, last year we came and it was November 14th and it happened to be the day after the first measurable snow in State College. So I was hoping last night, watching those snow showers in theory, that we could do that again. But all we recorded was a trace. However, who knows, maybe something may still happen today and we'll get that .1 on the books. So anyway, if you're a winter weather lover, I mean, it doesn't get much more exciting than this for the United States right now. Just take a look at this 500 millibar map. It just tells the whole story. It's an enormous positive DNA rich right now. And if you could just imagine where our source air is from right now, you can actually kind of depict it coming all the way from Siberia, over the Arctic, through Canada, and down to right here. I mean, this is just an amazing teleconnection right now, right from Siberia. So that's where our source is coming from. Right? Snow map as of this morning is Z. Nearly, maybe a little bit more than 50% of the country right now has snow on the ground. If you were watching the weather models last Friday, it looked like we were going to have snow on the ground this morning, but it seemed to have fizzled pretty quickly towards the models. The model runs on Saturday. But we did get some snow showers. Of course, we're getting a really cold air, too. In fact, Nashville, Tennessee picked up 0.2 inches of snow last night, so that was pretty big for them. I'm from Nashville. Michael's from Portland. Keep that in mind. I presented this graph last year. I just wanted to show it again to update it. And what this is, starting from August 1st, 2011, the date that I moved to State College, I kept track of the anomalies and just kept adding them up over time. And the first year and a half, almost 2 years here, it was extremely warm. And you can see these anomalies just shooting up over time, right? In fact, if you look right here, this is March 2012, very warm March. Okay, and then things started to go the other direction. When last winter, you can see the anomalies, the sun just went down, 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 down. Spring was almost average here, summertime, a little bit below average. And then we've been kind of an average state again, but now this cold break could come down to this level. So whether or not we cross zero again, I guess it's up to winter time. So let's see what happens with winter. So I just thought this is kind of a neat way of looking at the different regimes that at least I've experienced since being here: a warm regime, a neutral regime, and a cold regime. So, what did last winter look like? You know, how do you actually make those anomalies go down? So this is it: December through March, your daily temperatures. Your smooth lines are your climatological highs and lows, and your jagged lines are the actual observed highs and lows. So you can see most of the winter last year we spent a lot of the time below normal. Also, if you notice the lows, one of the things that's very peculiar about State College and how we keep track of things is that we keep track of our day begins and ends at 12Z, for those of you who don't know that. 12Z is actually 7 a.m. It's not midnight. So if you look at these daily lows, 7 a.m. is generally when you're going to record your daily low. So a lot of these daily lows here actually happen, like you see these valleys and lows, there are 2 days. There's usually 2 values next to each other. So keep that in mind, because we may have a record low tomorrow morning that will be broken. So a little weather trivia, and if anyone knows the answers to these, just speak it up. What do Portland, Oregon, and Nashville, Tennessee have in common?
They're both in the U.S.
Okay, that's very vague in general, but what else we got? Anyone? Measurable snow, plus. First snowflakes in both cities were recorded on November 13th this year. So that's kind of unusual because, first of all, both cities don't get snow very often. And second of all, getting in November is kind of rare. And third of all, they happen on the same day. It's crazy, especially when you consider how far apart they are. Second question, longest sub-40 Fahrenheit streak in State College during November, and when? I want to have the answer to that besides Mr. Pirate. Hopefully my math is right, because I was looking at this pretty carefully last night. Anyone have a guess for the duration at least? How long it would last?
5 days.
5 days? 5 days? Okay. Maybe
It wasn't last year, was it?
No. Okay, it's 10 days. And the year that surprised me when it occurred was 2008. So it's actually really recent. The longest, I mean, there's another streak in 1901 where it was 14 days or 40 degrees Fahrenheit and below. But there was one day in the middle that broke the streak. When's the earliest date during the cold season that State College recorded a sub 20 degree Fahrenheit high?
November 29th.
I think it's the 28th. That's really close.
What's the date between friends?
But if everyone wants to look at this top left on the screen here, where we are right now. 17.2. I don't see much sunshine. I think we might actually get that record today. That's an impressive record. I mean, that's really amazing. All right, so another little piece of trivia. One of the last 2 years in Nashville, Tennessee had a sub-freezing day during the winter. So above 32 Fahrenheit. I bring this up because I'm going to show some maps in a little bit.
2013?
Nope. You have to go pretty far back.
Pretty far back.
Nope. Another 10 years. 1976, 1977. Okay? I know it's just a little tiny, maybe insignificant fact, but I think it might be telling. All right, so there are the answers again. Okay, so is it record-breaking time? So today, I've got the records listed for the cold highs and the cold lows, and I've got the National Weather Service's forecast, and it looks like today we're going to shatter the record high, for a cold record high. I think that's a given. As far as tomorrow goes, for the cold record high, 30 is the record, and we're looking at 28 as the forecast. So that looks like it might be going down as well. Probably the bigger deal is breaking the record low. So like I said, the record low is recorded, the records are recorded at day's end and day begin at 12Z. So if it gets down to like 12 degrees tonight, as this forecast is for 13 degrees tonight, and it's 13 degrees at 7 a.m., then we're going to record 13 for both today and tomorrow. So that means we will break this record set if we get down to this 13 degrees. So that's a big deal, because I think we did set a couple record lows earlier this year in January, but when was the last time we broke a record low before that, Bill?
We went over 10 years.
Over 10 years. So we got 3 this year, which
In the cold season.
in the cold season. Yeah. Okay. That's a very long time. So, and it's going to stay cold. If you look at our daily highs in the low to mid 30s, and if we make it through Saturday, you know, with that high of 34 there, we will get to that 10 days in a row, some 40 highs. So that record will be at least tied. So back to this 1976 thing, looking at ocean temperatures. So on the top left is our current sea surface temperatures, and you can see this El Nino starting to come on. You can see this cold tongue in the North Pacific, cold tongue in the North Atlantic. And you compare it to sea surface temperatures during November of 1976. Now, I know the colors look a little different, but if you actually if you look at the anomalies have very similar patterns. You have this warm tongue, you have this weak El Nino, you have these 2 cold tongues in the North Pacific and North Atlantic. So in terms of using an analog, 1976 might be a realistic analog in terms of sea surface temperatures. And in case any of you don't know how that winter turned out, it wasn't really remarkable for it to snow in State College, but for the cold, it was a tremendously cold winter. Snow Advance Index. I know we've had several discussions that have talked about the Rutgers Snow Lab and shown the maps. I don't know if anyone's actually shown what the Snow Advance Index has done this year. In case anyone's forgotten what it means, basically the idea is the faster the snow advances in Eurasia during October, the more likely you're going to have a negative Arctic oscillation the following winter. Okay, and I'm showing this graph because this year, which is shown by this top blue line, is the snow advance for this year. And you can see that we had not only high snow extent in Eurasia this year, but we had a really fast rate of increase in snow. In fact, it's probably, I think it is the fastest rate of increase and the largest snow extent we've seen in Eurasia since 1976. So that year's coming up again. So according to this signal, we should have a negative AO winter. It's a very strong signal. If we don't have a negative AO winter, then I think Dr. Cohen will need to revisit his theory, because this is the strongest signal he's seen since he's been keeping track of this index. But he's also published a few papers the last few years. Okay, so the snow advance index is more of a statistical thing, but he's actually developing the physical theory behind it, why it happens. It's easy to think snow, you're going to build up cold air masses, perhaps that delivers the cold during the winter, but it's a little more complex than that. So if we want to go through it here a little bit step by step, a lot of it has to do with sea ice falls, according to his theory. The Arctic Ocean has experienced quite a bit of sea ice falls in the last 10 years. And the idea is first, in the late summer and early fall, you get a sea ice loss in the eastern Siberian Sea, which promotes a ridge. And this ridge will promote a downstream trough over Eurasia, which suppresses the storm trend, okay, and allows that snow cover to move really quickly in Eurasia during October, okay. And once that snowpack is built, you get an upper level or mid-level trough in the atmosphere, okay. And actually, I should have backed up a bit. The snow cover is also enhanced by the sea ice loss north along the Siberian coast. So you can get extra moisture flux into the Arctic, which leads to storms. Okay, so you get the sea ice loss, moisture flux from the ocean enters the continent, and pushes more snow. Okay, so once you get the snowpack down, you can build a mid-level trough, and that mid-level trough will promote an upstream ridge, Scandinavia region, the Barents and Kara Sea. Okay. So you get this upstream ridging. And also in this region, you've also had sea ice loss. And that sea ice loss also promotes ridging. And it also turns out that this region is the climatological location of ridging. So you have three really good reasons at this point to have ridging over Scandinavia. And he's found through observations that this is a pretty robust signal in these high snow event years is to get this ridging over Scandinavia. And it's this ridging and this planetary wave pattern that allows the vertical propagation of wave activity into the stratosphere, which disrupts the polar vortex and forces the negative AO during winter. So he's doing pretty good developing a hypothetical mechanism for this SAI and how it produces the cold winters. So keeping in mind this ridge over Scandinavia, and this ridge is supposed to develop, if you look at this timeline here, this ridge develops around November, okay? So we'll show these maps here. I know a lot of focus has been on this P&A ridge, but maybe something a little inconspicuous is what's happening over here in Scandinavia down the road. First 14 days of the month, nice little ridging over Scandinavia. All right, today, nice ridging over Scandinavia. 8 to 10 day average on the ensembles, another ridge. So it seems like this theory of Judah Cohen's proceeding apace. So we'll see if this all comes true during winter, but right now the signal for a negative AO winter is really strong going forward. So I'll hand it over to Michael now. Well, he'll talk more about weather things.
So yeah, so this is just a picture that I pulled from the internet from a friend from Lackawanna, New York. So I don't know, a lot of you are probably familiar with what's going on right now, which is a big lake effect snowstorm. And this is related to the cold pattern that Cory just talked about in the east. It's anomalously cold. So let's take a look at some of what's going on right now. So first of all, let's pull up.
It's in Firefox for you.
Firefox. And let's pull up this. And actually, I had forgotten to load the image from earlier today, but we can just look at what's going on now because it's only going to do 10 images because this isn't changing. So this is that same location, Lackawanna here. You can see this lake effect band is just streaming in. There's no end in sight. You saw, that picture that I showed was from maybe 2 hours ago. It was already something like 3 feet on the ground at that time, and there's no end. It just keeps coming. I mean, it makes sense. We have basically a record cold pattern in November when the lakes are still warm, and the flow is like west-southwest. You couldn't get a more perfect flow off of lakes Erie and Ontario. So basically, lake effect snow-wise, this is about the best you're going to see. And I mean, the NWS out of Buffalo is agreeing. They start with incredible lake effect snow event. It continues to unfold today. So let's see, where did they? Here we go. I like this. Based on reports this morning of some areas from South Buffalo to Lancaster of near 40 inches already, and the fact that the band will not move much through late afternoon, we have increased storm totals to around 70 inches in the hardest hit area. 70 inches. That's 70 inches in less than 24 hours. I was looking for records, and so one lake effect record that I found was 77 inches in the late 90s up on the Tug Hill Plateau. Tug Hill has the extra benefit of getting elevation. The only thing about that record is that the observations weren't quite consistent, and so they were thrown out. So that isn't the official record. That's just, they got about 77 inches that day.
That's a season and a half of our snow.
Yeah, exactly. Our average is like 45 or 47 or something. So that's insane. And then other records that I found, just non-lake effect, were also in the 75-inch range in the U.S. So basically, this 70-inch stacks up with all of that, and this is near Buffalo. This is, in relatively flat compared to the Tug Hill regions just south of downtown Buffalo, in the suburbs. So that's, it's pretty incredible. Like, I woke up this morning not even realizing this was happening until I saw some posts about it. There are some obviously some nice pictures and video. This is just a forum, so let's go through. I wonder if there's any of the white wall pictures. That's decent. But all right, so there's cars that aren't going anywhere, and cars that aren't going anywhere. There's a door and a person, another person. So that's 47 inches. Of course, you put the ruler anywhere, and you're going to get a different number. But there's the white wall that I was looking for. I can't even look like the apocalypse, like the snow apocalypse or something. That's, I think, the Buffalo. Somebody's having a little too much. Yeah. So yeah, just a lot of pictures like this. It's just not going to end. So, and with a radar like this is current radar. With a radar like this, it's only gonna get taller. Deeper. So, meanwhile, here in State College, this is what we got. State College is right here. We got a few snow showers. No squall right now. We call it a squall when it's a tiny dusting of snow out of this. But yeah, even here we're getting. Some of this, none of this is probably lake related, but it's post-frontal cold air aloft type. That's one of the things that's going to stop us from heating today. The more we heat today, the more of these clouds we're going to get. The more snow is going to kick the temperature right back down. So we might get that under 20 record just because of these clouds and the snow. But yeah, we got nothing compared to the lakes right now. Actually, I wanted to show one other thing. Let's see if I can. Let's pull it up. Well, let's show the satellite real quick, and then you can see the band right over Lake Erie and the one coming off Lake Ontario. It's actually bands coming off of Huron and Michigan as well, and Superior. So you got lake effect off all the lakes right now. But you can see the swaths of snow. I think Cory was showing some of the snow on the ground right now, and you can see it in the satellite. There's another swath down here in North Texas. So yeah, it's as we all knew when we stepped outside this morning. It's pretty cold out there. It's a winter-like air mass right now. So let's go back to you all home and look at some other things. So what I wanted to show was the radar. So let's look at the northeast, because I wanted to note how far west onto Lake Erie that band starts. It starts almost in Michigan. So yeah, you're basically building those bands of snow as far west on the lake as you can, and just building and building until you reach the land. So it's going to be hard to stop that once it's started until the wind direction changes. So let's take a look at when the wind direction is expected to change. We can look at some high-res modeling out of the NAM, for example. Let's just look at the simulated radar. And so we see here's where the snow kind of starts ending south of Buffalo, and this is 4Z. So that's like 11 p.m. So basically a 24-hour all-day snow event there, and then sweeps right back through tomorrow morning until the next actual storm system moves through and gives them a little bit more snow. But that's nothing at that point. So it's just crazy. So yeah, let's take a look at the forecast as well. Well, while we're at it, even though these are kind of clown maps, it's still fun to look at them. So yellows are 24 inches, or pinks are 24 inches plus. Yellows are 24 inches plus, pinks are 30 inches plus. So, you know.
There's nothing clownish about that. It's happening.
Yeah, it's happening, exactly. Well, this is from 12Z on. They already had 2 feet of snow before 12Z, so. And we can look at that on the other high-res models as well, and let's zoom in a little here. Let's just go. See the yellows and the pinks there as well, and on both of the high-res models. So all consistent, all self-consistent. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I bring that up because, you know, other than what's already happened and what's happening today, I didn't see a whole lot going on coming into the next 7 to 14 days. It looks like the cold pattern kind of briefly reinforces. Let's take a look at some ensemble forecasts. The cold pattern kind of reinforces itself briefly once, and then a second shot of cold comes in as well, but it's not nearly as cold as what's going on right now, and then after that it looks like it moderates. Of course, we'll talk about that in just a second in terms of how much we can trust that, but one thing we should point out is what Cory was mentioning, this high over Siberia, that doesn't go anywhere. And we'll start at forecast hour 0 and end at 384 on these ensembles, and just watch that high. So it just doesn't want to move. I mean, it's stuck in there. The big difference for us is, well, there are 2 major differences. One, we have this developing positive NAO possible, according to the GFS ensembles later on. This is 10 days out, and also a brief positive AO. Now this kind of thing happens in the very negative AO winters. In some of the other ones that we've looked at, like 2009, we get this period in late November, early December where the AO briefly goes positive, and that's probably just a reflection of the time it takes for this stratospheric signal to actually work its way back down to the tropospheric AO. So yeah, I mean that's probably not a signal that's gonna, you know, should scare anybody towards maybe a positive AO forecast for the winter or anything. But it does look like we could have a brief period of positive AO values there in late November and early December. But what the biggest thing that changes for us here in State College and the U.S. in general is this Aleutian low that has been such a strong player over the past couple weeks. The modeling has that basically going away. And one of the things that drove that was there was a typhoon that came up through Japan, and that kind of, I mean, it became extratropical and was one of the deepest lows on record in the North Pacific. That kind of reinforced this trough over the Aleutian Islands, but now we don't really have any. I don't think there's any typhoons modeled to recur out in the West Pacific anytime soon. So maybe that's one reason that the models don't have any Aleutian low signal anymore. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that out this far at 300 hours, these anomalies aren't showing up very strong, except the one over Scandinavia, which means there's a lot of, and you can see at the spaghetti plots, there's a lot of model disagreement, ensemble disagreement right now with the GFS ensembles. And when we were looking at the Euro ensembles as well, we did see differences actually, especially over the Aleutians. In fact, the Euro ensembles have a stronger high over the Aleutians at this time, and this high doesn't exist. But all of them show this signal here, this strong Scandinavian high. So I think that based on what we've seen so far, it looks like, you know, we may have a reprieve from this cold weather here out in the east for a little while, for a couple weeks maybe. But after that, I would imagine the AO is going to crash based on the SAI, the Snow Advance Index, and from there, I mean, it's probably just going to be another cold winter for us, unless there's something out in the Pacific that changes things. But based on the SST pattern right now, it doesn't look like there's any reason to suspect of anything other than a positive PNA-like signal in the winter. So, I mean, I got really nothing else. There's nothing specifically, no storms moving through State College. So yeah. Any questions?
Questions? Anything you want to see? Questions? Anybody? Maybe you shocked them all.
It does look like a little bit of a warm up at the end of the weekend, right?
Yeah, and actually, I didn't go into a lot of detail there, but I think some of the models are showing 70 regions as far north as like UCLA and DC and Baltimore. So it could get decently above normal for a short period of time there. That would be a prefrontal type warm surge, but a pre-cold front. But here we would probably only be in the 50s, but still that would be a lot warmer than that.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I noticed it's still 17.2. That hasn't changed.
All right, let's thank Cory and Michael. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your break. We'll be back the week following break.
No.